Welcome again, Keepers of Light. And I call you that because you are just that, Keepers of Light. And as I connect into the ley lines of this planet, I find myself lifting from my thoughts and I allow myself to enter into the Keeper of Light portal. And as I enter into the portal, into this portal, I allow my consciousness to expand to receive what messages are here for us. I am feeling the need to talk about and relate my experience to how it is relevant to your experience. Because after all, I am here speaking these words and sharing them with you. And so there's likely like it's a progression. So what I'm seeing is like it's a progression of information that is coming to me in bits and pieces, and I'm putting it together so that and I'm doing it this way, and the guides are having me do things this way in that way so that it's showing it becomes a demonstration of how things unfold, and therefore it really is just going to serve everything that I do will eventually serve as like a mosaic of pieces of information being put together and being dispersed in individualistic pieces that can be put together eventually. And but the process itself of me coming on here and expressing in this way in these ways, because how I show up will vary from time to time, and really it's intended to be representative of what multidimensionality stands for and how it looks like. And it is also meant to demystify what multidimensionality is about, because rather than continue to limit the way in which keepers of light have been conditioned to believe that they should show up, what is happening through me, although it feels a little bit painful sometimes, in that way where I kind of feel like the journey is at times lonesome. Um, but it is also very pleasing at the same time, because it means learning how to come into that point of feeling as though I am aligned to my innermost sense of recognition of beingness. And although I find this whole experience to be at times disconcerting, because I have been used to knowing beforehand how I would be showing up. Now, when I come into this portal, it really is that I show up in what ways that I am at that point of time connecting to. And so I become somewhat of a demonstration of and a portrayal of what we are evolving into in my willingness to explore the many aspects of who I am right in front of you. And this itself is not necessarily an easy task to do, particularly when the conditioning of the human being is such that we are oftentimes believing that we are threatened by the mere thought of delving and exploring more deeply into what we have been believing and what we have been taught that reality is and what reality should be. There have been many times where I have felt as though I have had to hide these perspectives that I have had, these inner perspectives that I have had, in that same way that I have right now spoken of this self protective measure where the body itself, when it feels as though it is being threatened, will seek to protect itself. And although this is important, this way of learning how to take care of the human body and how to nurture it and how to create wellness within its structure so that it is continuing to support the life existence that it is in now, there is still more to the experience of who we are that lies beyond the livelihood and the lives that we all are having, that we all are sharing with one another. And this is where this channel and this portal takes us to. It is a way of bridging the gap between the expanded cosmic perspective and that of the human being as it is and how it has been so far. This is how we are expanding into greater and greater experiences of aspects of human beingness, greater and greater aspects of human beingness. One of the things that I have been doing in this lifetime is learning how to bridge that gap. It is so that I came into this incarnation with this purpose in mind, and having been implanted the memory of that so that I would, at this period of time, remember it more at a more clear level so that I can speak these words to you and begin to show ways and reveal ways that the human being can and that you can use to bridge the gap within yourself, because the gap between the cosmic to that of the present sense of self that you inhabit is really a closing of the gap between your higher consciousness awareness and that of the lower consciousness awareness, which is where we are when we are considering ourselves to be on this 3D realm of, or you could say timeline of existence. There is always information around us. Actually, everything is information. everything is in the process of formation. And one of some of the things that I've been saying recently have been leading to this exact point, that reality itself is when considered from the higher perspective of beingness, from the cosmic perspective of beingness, it is more fluid in nature, less dense. And so learning how to move within the realm of lesser density realities, learning how to move into lesser density realities is a form of expanding and evolving. And the human being right now is in the process of doing so. And you are at the forefront of that journey. You are more willing to hear these topics, and so it makes it easier for you to receive the new information that is coming through to you through this portal. And in the process of receiving, you are yourself being reconfigured. The rate is varies from person to person, depending upon what level of attachment you have to the more denser frequencies, more denser reality that we all have in common, that we all have had in common. You will find that the information you're receiving here will serve as a it'll serve as a excuse me the information that you receive here will serve as a triggering effect in helping you to rebalance your energetic system. Yet there is a lot of work for you to do yourselves. And depending upon how you take the trigger ring, depending on how you what you decide about what that means, then that will determine how quickly you traverse from one trigger point to the next. These trigger points will continue to occur, and you will become familiar with them as being only an aspect to the releasing of denser energies. The outer realm reality is experiencing the same, yet we have created here a sort of classroom. It's a smaller network of example of the it's like a classroom. It's a classroom where we are at a more concise ways and more detailed ways, and in ways of where we are with awareness, allowing our energetic systems to be reconfigured. See, the thing is a lot of people do not want to have their energetic system reconfigured because how they experience the trigger points, they have decided and have labeled those moments as being detrimental to their well-beingness. But and how we have started this speech here today was about how it takes us back to where we had the starting point to what we were saying at the beginning of this session here, that why am I drawing a blank? Okay, so anyway, what was going on is that you are in the process of reconfiguring yourself. You, as a keeper of light, are willing to reconfigure yourself because you have, at some level, some remembrance of the identity of your soul's blueprint to explore and to expand in this way of awareness through this ascension process. You serve this role because it is a necessary one. There are those who will be reconfigured to the extent everyone will be reconfigured to the extent that they are capable of handling. And there are many who will be reconfigured in ways that they are unaware of. But you are here to be reconfigured in that way where you are an active participant to that process. And so that is what makes you a keeper of light. Because when you enter this portal, or any portal of your choosing, or creation, that is created for the purpose of allowing newer information to flow through it, so that you are receiving the upgrades that are necessary for you in the moment that you are needing them, then you will be and are therefore fulfilling your purpose for being. And this purpose is a process of bridging the gap of awareness of who you are. In this way, you expand to be able to use to be able to understand the extent of awareness of your identity as consciousness, pure light consciousness. So here we are, exploring these topics together. And as we do so, we are therefore allowing newer perspectives and newer ways of being to flow into our into our vessels, into our energetic systems, so that we begin to perceive the expanded reality that it already exists. It is not that we are creating anything. as is perceived from the lower, more dense perceptions of reality. It is more so that we are remembering what already exists, and that we are expanding our definition of self to be inclusive of the to be inclusive of all consciousness. Yet this does not mean that we will cease to have identity points of beingness, because the purpose for this journey is for the experiences that will be and are to be had, the experience of the expansion of the experience of freedom and peace and love and harmony. And you are opening yourself up to more and more of that by accepting that you are not limited in the ways that have been conveyed and are being conveyed by the lower density acceptance of realities. So, do you have anything else I want to factor in here myself? Not really, except that I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who's been sort of just watching me go through this process. It is an integration between my human personality self, which many of you who know me have come to know, a perspective and a part of myself that is only a part of myself is what I have been showing up as. Yet I have always known that I would come to this level and this point of expansion of consciousness, and that the work that I have had in this incarnation would lead me to this point where I would use my voice and use these abilities that I have to communicate those messages that are and have become necessary for the glorious journey that we are entering into. And although there may be many who would contradict this expanded perspective as being at all a part of the existing reality, they would be correct. It is not that one exist it is not that there is only one existence and that there is one reality that we are in. It never was that. And so we are waking up from the dream that we only ever existed in formation, in the formation of these, in the that we existed from the awareness point, that we are limited to the awareness point of the more dense reality or perception of beingness. We are not limited to that. It is actually a form of denialism for us to limit our perspective to just that, because it does not give significance to the other parts and the other aspects of reality re- which exist as a simultaneous point of reference. There are many of us who have recognized that to continue down the same path of limited understanding is to allow ourselves to continue to replicate and to exist in realities that are no longer serving of the entire of human kindness in the ways that we hold within our hearts as possibilities for the journeys that we signed up for. And so here we are, paving the way for the experiences of expanded consciousness. And as we do so, we are also welcoming the many beings who are in existence, who are in coexistence to our reality in ways that we have shut down our awareness points of acceptance, of realization. I will leave it here until next time.